You just paid $6 for a bag of greens at the grocery store. Here's the thing. One weed in your yard right now has more vitamin C than 3 whole oranges. And it's just one of 7 that beat what's in that bag. By number 5, you'll see one that holds more of a nutrient we normally pay for in fish oil pills. 3 of these 7 are probably within 10 feet of your back door, no matter what USDA zone you're in. One quick note, always be sure of a plant's ID before you pick anything. More on that as we go. There's a reason your yard keeps outperforming the produce aisle, and we'll show you why by the end. Let's put that $6 bag to the test. Start with the plant that's already outperforming a produce aisle regular, the cheerful yellow dandelion. According to USDA data, 1 cup of raw dandelion greens carries about 103 milligrams of calcium and more than 100% of your daily vitamin A. That's not a rounding error. And here's why this matters. Dandelion greens are sold in grocery stores right now in a produce bag for real money. Yours are already growing for free right outside your door. Dandelion's just the warm-up act, though. The next one might be growing in that exact same patch. Lamb's quarters look like a scrappy, dusty green weed nobody planted on purpose. But USDA comparisons show it carries roughly twice the calcium of spinach, around 309 milligrams compared to spinach's 136, and it edges out spinach on vitamin A and vitamin C too. Cook it exactly the way you'd cook spinach, a little olive oil, a little garlic, and most folks can't tell the difference. Except one of them cost you nothing. 2 plants down and already dirt cheap next to that $6 bag. This next one is so small, most people never even notice it's there. Chickweed grows low, in soft little mats with tiny white star-shaped flowers, usually in the shady, damp corner of the yard nobody mows carefully. It takes about 30 seconds to spot, once you know what you're looking for. Foraging and herbal references consistently describe it as noticeably higher in vitamin C than a head of lettuce, in kale's range. And it shows up in late winter, before almost anything else in the yard is ready. A free salad green when your garden's still mostly mud. Chickweed feeds you before spring even arrives. This next plant feeds the bees too, and it might be the prettiest thing on this whole list. Wild violet. Those little purple flowers tucked into the grass every spring. According to University of Illinois Extension, half a cup of violet leaves carries roughly as much vitamin C as 3 whole oranges. The flowers get tossed into salads for color, and here's a fun fact. The same flower fancy restaurants pay a specialty grower to cultivate is growing free in your lawn right now. One quick safety note, especially if you've got grandkids or pets running around the yard. Always double-check plant identification before anyone picks and eats anything growing outside. 4 down, and every one of them already ahead of that $6 bag. But everything up to this point was just setting the table. Number 5 is the one I promised you at the start. Purslane is that low, reddish, succulent weed spreading across bare soil and driveway cracks, rain or shine. It's the kind most gardeners rip out on site. Here's why this one matters. A 2014 peer-reviewed nutrient study found purslane tested higher in omega-3s than any other leafy green scientists have measured so far, roughly 4 milligrams per gram, compared to spinach's not quite 1. It's one of the only land plants ever found to carry a trace of EPA, the exact omega-3 usually found in fish oil capsules. That's the plant we opened this video with, the one beating fish. Toss it raw into a salad, scramble it into eggs, or pickle the stems. It's got a mild, lemony crunch, kind of like a cross between spinach and cucumber. Master gardeners who've caught on to this one already treat it as a free supplement, not a weed. Purslane closes out the fish story. But the next one closes out something else, the sour taste that used to keep sailors alive. Wood sorrel looks like a shamrock with a sharp, lemony bite that surprises almost everyone who tries it. That tartness comes from oxalic acid, and historically, sailors and settlers leaned on wood sorrel's vitamin C to help ward off scurvy before citrus was easy to come by. One important note here. Extension and kidney health guidance place wood sorrel's oxalate content in the same category as spinach and rhubarb. If you've got a history of kidney stones or gout, don't panic. Just treat it the same way you'd treat spinach. Enjoy it occasionally, not as a daily green, and check with your doctor if you're not sure. That's 6. The 7th one you've stepped on more times than you can count, and it's got a stranger history than any plant on this list. Every single day, you're stepping over one of the strangest hitchhikers in American history. This is broadleaf plantain, not the banana, the flat, ribbed weed growing in every sidewalk crack and worn footpath in America. A 2001 peer-reviewed nutrition study on wild plantain found 108 milligrams of calcium and 45 milligrams of vitamin C per 100 grams. Real, measured numbers, not guesswork. One quick note, eating a lot of plantain at once can lower blood pressure, so if you're on blood pressure medication, treat it like any new green. A modest handful, not a full meal. Picture colonial New England in the 1600s. English settlers stepped off the Mayflower, and this weed started sprouting everywhere they walked. Dooryards, footpaths, trodden fields, ground that had never grown it before. Native communities called it the Englishman's foot, because it seemed to spring up wherever a European had stepped. It rode over in the ballast and the packing straw, right alongside seeds nobody meant to bring. 400 years later, it's still following us. Free calcium, free vitamin C, growing in the one spot you walk past every single day. So here's the question underneath all 7 of these. Why does a plant nobody planted keep beating the vegetables we actually pay for? Now, the research folks say it different ways, but they keep landing on the same conclusion. A landmark 2004 study tracking USDA data on 43 garden crops found reliable declines in calcium, iron, and vitamin C because breeders were chasing bigger yields and easier shipping, not nutrition. Separate University of Florida research on tomato breeding found the same pattern. Growers get paid for size and color, not flavor or nutrients. And a 2018 peer-reviewed comparison of wild greens versus farmed produce found the wild greens came out ahead. They beat kale, one of the most nutrient-dense vegetables you can buy. Different studies, different plants. Same conclusion. Nobody's ever bred a weed. It kept whatever nutrition nature gave it. One thing worth keeping in mind, these numbers move with soil, season, and how the plant grew, so treat them as a solid ballpark, not a lab guarantee. One core rule before you try any of these. Only ever eat what you can identify with complete certainty, and never pick from a lawn that's been sprayed. Now here's how you put it all together. All you need is a salad bowl, a handful of young dandelion leaves, a few purslane stems, and a couple of wood sorrel leaves chopped in for that lemony bite. That's a $6 salad made from what you are about to pull out of the ground. If you're trying any of these for the first time, start with a small amount to check for personal sensitivity. And if you've got pets or grandkids around, keep an eye on them near anything new. Rinse everything well and keep your harvest up on the counter, out of paw and grandkid reach, until it's washed and ready. That's it. 7 weeds, 7 wins, and not one of them cost you a thing. By this weekend, you could be looking at your yard as a grocery aisle instead of a to-do list. If you're the kind of gardener who'd rather harvest than spray, you belong here. Tell me what state you're gardening in and which one of these 7 is already growing in your yard. Grow more food, save some money, and have a little fun doing it. Happy gardening!